We got ourselves Anto over on team 1 with a Daff? Call it Daff. We got Oscar in the back as an Affliction warlock. You got a big old tentacles dropping out of the hood. We got Quizon here as well as SP. On the other team, we got ourselves Dead Poet as a subtlety rogue with Kronborg as a Windwalker. Manetha as a Shadow Priest. We got ourselves Nemera as the Fury Warrior charging out and Tilt You as a Feral Druid. Charging in versus Quizon. Quizon landing that Strangling immediately. Going to be Nemera shrinking it out of it aggressively with the Reflect. Charging to Quizon, but looks like the Chain of Ice is going to be holding him back a bit. The Army of the Dead surrounding the Warrior. Wants to get in line of sight of Quizon as soon as possible, but the Unholy Deathlight avoids him like the plague. Which is literally the opposite, because Nemera should be avoiding Nemera because he literally applies plagues to everybody. That's going to be full drop down of that Night Fae Ancient Aftershock, dropping a lockdown onto Quizon, but able to walk away out of it. Nemera kind of low on health is going to need to start using that Rage into whatever defenses you got, whatever healing you got. It looks like Nemera actually burned every defensive and defensive. Quizon should be able to get quick work off him. Lichborn out of that fear. Nemera charging around the corner after that leap, strangulate by the Death Knight, and is going to be able to take down Nemera. I think the Warrior came in and then was taking a bit of damage from the Army of the Dead as Squiller just let the pets do a lot of the work by himself. Manetha charging in with a stun Void Erupt to try to go for the Void Bolts to erupt over at Quizon. Quizon is going to IBF to break out of the sun. Mind Games has an AMS for it. Try to see if he can get maybe some damage back to Manetha. That is going to be a Siphon attacking him. Siphon doing quite a bit of damage together with whatever Manetha has done damage-wise. Gripping him in with a grippy hand. Going to be A-Bomb Limb joining the fight. Manetha full PI silence on the Quizon. Is going to go for the pet stun. Army of the Dead joins the fight to seize those pets to do as much work to Manetha as he can. Another grip to Manetha back in. Just gripping him back in. Disperses the Army of the Dead. Charges at him. Quizon trying to stay on the Shadow Priest as best as he can. Quizon holding on to a trinket. Maybe some defenses. He's going to get himself some healing. As Manetha trying to get some damage out. No interrupt used by Manetha, by Quizon just yet. Manetha just trying to keep the damage rolling. Going to be tricking out of the stun. Interrupt him on Shadow. Manetha could be locked down for quite a bad time. Got himself a Siphon to slow down Quizon as well as a Greater Fade to get away. Using a Greater Fade for mobility rather than a defensive. But sometimes you just have to. Try to get himself some VTs onto the pet. Quizon charging in full flesh god. Got himself Spell Warden. Constantly proccing from the magic damage of Manetha. Quick Fear by the Shadow Priest. No Lich Board available. Manetha dipping it very, very low as the dots as well as the pet are starting to push him over the edge. Try to get himself some dots onto the pet, which at least is going to be some sort of survivability. Quizon tried to find the angle. So far, Manetha just avoids him as best as possible. The line of sight is perfect. The Chain of Ice connects. And Manetha trying not to get interrupted on Shadow. Army of the Dead is just going to close this game out. Has a Greater Fade very, very soon. Starting to Quizon. Void Eruption. Maybe to get a CC. Manetha with a Greater Fade. Maybe one of the eruptions will hit Quizon. None of them did, though. Quizon, no, one of them did at the very end. Even though the Shadow Priest died. The last Void Bolt does connect. Quizon getting a stun to Kron as the Monk goes in. Full burst damage. Going to be Fist of Fury. Quizon has to go with the Chain of Ice. Just slowing down the Monk. Trying to peel him as best as possible. AMS, Spell Warden, both on him. Kron actually doing a bit of that shadow damage, which activate Spell Warden. Kron not in a great spot, going for a big defensive of Diffuse Magic as well as the Karma. Quizon got himself full runic power. It's a lot of death strikes to funnel over at the Monk. And Quizon so far has done this duel without even sacrificing his pets. So far this Unholy Death Knight has been surviving this quite a bit, trying to get a Chain of Ice immediately to Kron. He knows if it's a Fury coming. Got himself the big grippy hand. I think Kron might be in trouble, actually. Grippy hand together with Lichborn to keep himself alive. Just let the pets, the dots of the grippy hand do a lot of the work passively as Quizon just maintains himself. That Poet trying to see if he can shut down Quizon. Not going to give him a chance after the kidney shot, taking him out. Full Venthyr, Flagellation, Burst, as well as a Shadow Blades. And Daff is going to be up next as a Night Fae Demon Hunter. You know, in 9.1.5, he can wear the Night Fae look and he doesn't have to have a Night Fae ability. But we really won't know what kind of a setup he's got going on. Literally won't know anything until we see his abilities. DFA from Dead Poet, trying to get so flashy, but also DFA does give you immunity to CC in case Daff wanted to maybe Trinket, maybe land a stun or in a prison onto Dead Poet. Try to Dora Shadows out of there. Is going to be able to do it. Daff getting slowed down quite a bit. Soul Shape to give him some mobility, but still unable to catch up as Dead Poet does get him into another Sap. Smoke Bomb down because Daff can find Stealthies. He has a Spectral Sight. But looks like Dead Poet is going to make a quick getaway. It is going to be a clean escape. Mark for death, ready to go. Daff knows to expect something out of the rogue, but what? He's not really quite sure. Trinkets, as his health starts to drop low, is going to fly up in the air, trying to see if he can pelt Dead Poet down. But looks like the rogue is going for a full reset. Daff, no longer with the trinket, is going to be susceptible to all kinds of crowd control, unless he's running a legendary where once he goes low, he drops down on darkness to save him. And maybe that's exactly what he's playing. Daff might be in really big trouble here. Cheap shot by Dead Poet. Daff might be in really bad trouble. Does he have the darkness safety? He does not, by the looks of it. Triple cheap shot. Daff at super low health. It's gonna go for blur. The flagellation comes out. The rogue takes him out before the demon hunter even gets a chance to say and do anything. SP get a hit with a kidney shot. Dead Poet going in for the damage. Gonna be immediately dispersed as he sees Poet light up with burst. But he didn't commit any flagellation, no shadow blades, no nothing. Dead Poet catches a reset. I don't think it was a shadow mode reset, was it? I think it was just a plain reset. SP did burn a disperse though. Disperse is only 1.5 minutes CD cooldown, so you could use it. It is shorter than a trinket, so you might as well, if you want to rotate cooldowns, I guess you would rotate disperse early. Another set of eyes not available anymore, actually. So Dead Poet could just wait and stealth as much as he wants to. Summon gets Dead Poet out of stealth, though. Greater fate for SP before any suns come out. Fear Roach and Dead Poet is going to get a flesh count. All the dots are taken down on a rogue. Might be able to get a full set of pets. Does he have a stun and everything? Going to be the full set of pets up with Mindbender as well as the Mages of the Dead. All he needs is a Siphon. Dead Poet trying to get some flagellation burst into SP, but decides to get it as his health is getting lower. Is going to dive into a reset. The dots are still on him. Did not burn the Cloak of Shadows. And SP's, if he's quick enough, you might know where the rogue is at. Try to go for a Void Bolt on one side, a Void Eruption. And rogue is out. Maybe he can get a Shadow Word Death on him, Shadow Word Pain, anything. Looks like he's unable to. Dead Poet lands him in another sap. Still trinket available for the Shadow Priest, and with that early disperse, he has only 20 seconds on his disperse. Quick trinket, Greater Fade, try to get the rogue maybe to kick, stun into the rogue. So the trinket is going to kick him on that shadow, not give an opportunity, trying to make some damage happen of his own. Very aggressive with that trinket. Blind as SP trying to get some kind of damage in. Dead Poet committed a Shadow Blaze, didn't really get that much damage into SP. Had to burn through a Flesh Scaft, I think a bit of absorbs. But then went for an aggressive blind, not letting SP play the game if he can help it. That was a trinket used by Dead Poet though. SP, no more trinket, could disperse, is gonna press the disperse button here. And Dead Poet has to back up. He only committed one set of dances here. If SP can catch up to him, maybe get a dot on him somehow, he'll be in a great spot. The eyes are back up. And he's back up on that broom. If he knows where the rogue is at, he might be able to hit him. Maybe just with an auto. I think he walked right next to him. Didn't realize though. He does realize Greater Fade. Get on top of the rogue. The rogue is going to sprint away into a sap as the Greater Fade fades. Oh my goodness. Dead Poet so far has had the most amount of escapes I've ever seen. Mark for death onto SP, landing a kidney shot, landing those shadow strikes in. Flagellation, SP does not have an answer here. I think it's over. Cheap shot as he gets another eviscerate. That's it. Yeah, this rogue just removing these boys out of the game. As Oscar having to set up a gateway with a port. At least Dead Poet is given opportunity, as I'm pretty sure Poet has to wait out and get some recuperation on those cooldowns as well. Needs a set of dances too. That was really tough. This rogue is super aggressive with his cooldowns. Gotta be that Succubus CC around the corners. Oscar is an Affliction playing with a pet. Which Succubus CC is amazing as a Destro, but as an Affliction, it might be pretty bad because some of your dodges just break that Succubus CC. Like UA, for example, it's very, very susceptible to breaks. No interrupts, actually, no interrupts available against the Shadow Step or the Door of Shadows. Oscar hopefully got a slow onto Dead Poet. If he doesn't, at least the pet might be able to get a slow on him. Dead Poet tried to see if he might be able to force cooldowns to Oscar. Forced out a Dark Pact, and he might as well back up out of there. Oscar charging in. Does Poet still have any dots on him? He needs something to auto-attack him in order to be able to get out of there. They didn't Shadow Meld for that restealth. I think that was a normal reset. The dots are still on him, though. So as long as he's able to dodge away from the Affliction Warlock a bit, he might be able to wait out for those dots to fall off. And then get himself a proper opener. But the dots stay around for quite a while, huh? Oscar charging in. Trinkets out of the kidney shot. Gonna be a cheap shot to follow. Cheap shot onto that pet as well. Interrupted from any kind of CC. Throwing a Death Bolt or a Mortal Coil over at Death Poet. Got himself full dots available. Death Bolt to follow. Poet having to go for Vanish. Might just have to Cloak of Shadows this burst. Is gonna Cloak of Shadows any of this damage as the dots would keep on ticking. That was a Death Bolt play by Oscar. Very, very interesting play. If only he crit with that one, I think that might have been the end to the rogue, because that is quite a lot of damage that he set up. Full haste bow, full dark glare, everything. gonna be the Dead Poet going for an interrupt onto the Succubus, making sure that the Succubus CC just doesn't follow through. Oscar tried to go for a bit of a drain live. Dead Poet does get hit with the Succubus C in the way. Oscar might be able to get some dots up on the Dead Poet. No Cloak of Shadows will vanish for the Rogue. Trinket started with a blind to reset, and then goes a Shadow Meld. Was that a blind or a Shadow Meld reset? That might have been a normal re-stealth, because he was sitting on Succubus CC. Does that put him out of combat? Fear to follow after that Mortal Coil as Oscar tried to get line side to that Poet. Poet trying to see if he can bust out of there. Is going to pour it away. Oscar chasing after him. Got the slows and everything. Is going to soul shape right in melee. Could be a Kindred Shadow waiting for the Warlock any moment. Full chain of chains onto Poet. Is reduced and he kind of heal. He gets the dots still on the Rogue. Trying to turn the CC. Attention around onto Oscar. Is going to interrupt the Drain Life. The Drain Life still continues on. Dead Poet might be in a bad spot. DFA down. Trying to do as much as he can. Get Oscar below, but the Drain Life is going to whittle him out at the very end. With Tilt You up next. Trying to go for a stun, but Oscar's fully stunned to yard. But Tilt You should be able to go for a couple of shreds and take him out. Is going to see the seed pod. Oscar, there's no way of surviving it. And Antu waiting and letting the Feral Druid get himself a setup. Waited, sorta. He kind of went out and got really, really early. Not giving Tilt You an opportunity to catch a reset at all. Is going to have to go for a Roar as well as a Cyclone. Tilt You can also remove some of the dots, like Agony, for example. If it's a curse, he can remove it. He's going to be able to get himself a proper opener to Antu. Bubble coming down for the Paladin as we are in a 45% dampener. Only 11 minutes or 12 minutes into this game. And Antu trying to keep the Feral at least in combat while the bubble is up. Gonna be a full stun, full bleeds blind, back up for Antu, full setup, trick it out of Antu. Does he Barks get that stun? At least he was able to. Does Antu have enough damage to burn through this Barks? Needs one more hammer, maybe one more. Does he have another finisher? Trying to build the combo points of Holy Power as fast as he can. Charging at Tilt You as he's in full bear form, trying to catch himself a reset. Maybe he can catch himself into a prowl. I think the Feral should be able to get out of this scot-free. Maybe could go for a really cheesy skull bash onto. Oh, does go for a stun. Convoke. Shield of Enemies up for Antu. Could reverse that shield back on Tilt You as he backs up out of there with a Roar. And Antu still has a pretty big shield ready to pop. The dots are ticking down on him. As long as he keeps Tilt You in combat, he'll be okay. I believe he went for a Hand of Hindrance, but Tilt You power shifted it immediately. Literally in the same global, so he's just not even slowed down at all. Antu charging up. Does he get the Feral out? No, he does not. Flashlights are up, going to be a stun opener. Does Tilt You have a Convoke? It doesn't look like he does. Is going to get a full bleeds up and running into Antu. Antu has a Blessing Protection. Does he have the Forbearance still? Forbearance is down, so he's able to at least get himself a pop. Cyclone trying to come out for Tilt You. Got himself Thorns as well as a Bark Skin. Antu better be careful with his health bar. Better maybe heal. Trying to get aggressive as best as possible. Tilt You just needs to wait out until there's a full burst go. That's going to be a Cyclone off of that Roar. Antu without a trinket to get out. Tilt You trying to recover a bit of health. Only 53% dampening, so he's still able to heal a little. As flashlights are coming out for Antu. Tilt You, I think, has a big old Convoke ready to go again. It's going to be a Convoke. Does he have the damage? Big bites taking Antu out. Oh my goodness. We got Quizon with 3. I didn't realize this Unholy Death that it went up against 3. Poet with 3. Slamming boys out of the park. Affliction Warlock actually tussling toe to toe with a Subtlety Rogue.